And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session. Here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, podcaster, or content creator of any kind, make sure to check us out at aoastudios.org to book your session or service today. And I am joined today by an incredibly special guest. If you don't know who she is, you've probably been living under a rock. She's been absolutely everywhere this year. She's a performer, artist. She's really just making waves out here. This is ISHA, formerly ISHA from the 978.
Yes. What a great introduction.
Well, it's all facts. I mean, you've been everywhere this year, and you're just like, just seeing your artistry and your creative direction, and honestly, your superstardom just like grow has been so cool to watch. And just appreciate everything you've been bringing to the table. So, and when did we last see each other? It was April, right? Well, we booked you for the Bloomfest, and you performed there. I think I saw you at Grandmaster of the Chamber, actually.
No, I definitely saw you there, but that's what I was really going for.
Like the last time we actually worked together.
Yeah, okay.
So that would have been.
Yeah, a lot has happened in those 5 months.
I feel like, yeah, definitely.
Shoot.
Definitely.
Am I allowed to swear?
Of course you are.
Oh, shit.
Okay. Of course you are. Yeah, no, this isn't, it's Turntable Teachers, but, we're all about authenticity. So if I swear every once in a while, so that's fine. Okay. So if that is authentic to you, then go for it. Let it fly.
What was that?
What's that?
What did you just say right there?
If that was authentic to you.
The last thing you just said?
Let it fly.
Oh, I heard au revoir. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Oops,
you thought I just spoke a different language. No, right. I said let it fly.
Okay. I'm here.
No, I'd only speak English.
I'm like high off life right now.
That's good.
I don't even smoke weed anymore.
Wish I could say the same. Obviously, if you're a fan of ISHA and just being introduced to us for the first time, we start off with the objective, where we get to know a little bit about you and your background. And my first question to you is just more of a generic one to start. I feel like every time I've seen you perform, you just feel like such a natural performer. And this feels like something that's just kind of been ingrained in you for quite a long time. So I'm kind of just curious about your artistic background and your performance background. Like, has this always been something that's been supernatural to you? Or is it something like as a kid you were just constantly seeking attention and always like wanting to be on stage or whatever? Or is this something that kind of you gradually sort of like learned to be good at? Like, I'm just genuinely curious about like where you got all that started.
I've definitely taught myself over the course of years. I feel like documentation is really important in one's artistry, and I'm really happy to say that I've documented performances from 10 years ago till, obviously up to now. So like, with Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, you always get like the memories a year ago, 4 years ago. Facebook does this thing where they'll do like today, 4 years plus back. And just the other day I saw a video from, 2017. I was performing, and I feel like engagement has always been a natural thing for me. And engagement is very important. It doesn't always make you the best performer though. So I wasn't obviously always the best one. And I just can see myself over the course of years just getting better and better. And I'm just like, wow, like that was just me continuously teaching myself, studying every video that someone would take, of me, whether it was at a show or just outside. I like, vlogging like real life shit or whatever it is. But I feel like I've always been a natural. In middle school, high school, I was definitely very timid. Like when it came to like presentations and like in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I always had a project that involved music or poetry. And whenever I heard an English teacher, introduce a topic that has to do with poetry, I always, redefined it as music. So because I was doing poetry before music, but I always saw that as an opportunity to show people that I like creating. And so like I would start off with these class presentations, actually singing a song in front of 30 kids. And it's just like, I never thought I could do it until maybe freshman year or the summer of freshman year, like right before the start of freshman year. Performed my first diss track to my ex at the time. And I was like, this isn't that hard. And like I said, over the course of years, I definitely, performing in front of different crowds, it was a lot of good practice because, you're performing in front of kids your age and then adults, the age of your mom and then the age of your teachers. And like, the age of the like elderly age and like kid age. It's just like different crowds. It was really good to practice because you get a different reaction every time. And even till this day, I still get nervous. Like, I really do. And that's the beauty of it. It's like you can have 10 plus years experience performing, but there's a whole world out there with people that you know haven't catered to yet. And it's like, it feels brand new every time. It feels like the first experience every time.
It's really well said. And a couple of things that you said, like on the nervous part of it, like I still get that. Even when I turn the cameras on and I'm about to start, like I get that little, but yeah, I'm like, whatever, 100 and whatever, 50 episodes I am in at this point. And just like, I still get that weird, like, I mean, I'm good now. It's like after 5 minutes, I'm like, all right, I've done this before. Like I'm good. But it's always that like initial thing. And I think part of that is just obviously because it's clearly you care about your craft, you care about what you do. So I think in any sense, like that's just kind of naturally a human thing. If like you care about what you're doing, you're going to probably be nervous about it to an extent or of some regard. And I love what you two said about like, you know, taking poetry and sort of implementing it in with the music, or like seeing those as synonymous. Like when I taught English, I always, when I did my poetry units, I always brought music into it, hip hop especially, because it's just there's so much of a poetic nature when it comes to lyrics and hip hop in general, especially like kind of where it all started was in a lot of ways from a poetry aspect of it. So it feels like in a lot of ways that just makes total sense that you felt that way. And I think too, it allows for, you know, any sort of student that maybe doesn't like to read or isn't really crazy about poetry, like all of a sudden they're going to start to get a little more into it. So that's how I always took it, just from an educator standpoint. Like how can I engage the kids and actually like get them to like what we're talking about? And whenever I brought music in, it was always
that's real. I have my 6th grade English teacher was exactly that same way. He saw that the kids, you know, us obviously his students, being that we were much more excited when it involved some form of art, as opposed to like, okay, guys, write an essay about this. And it's like,
because it's not as much of an authentic thing. Like no one in real life is going to tell you to like go write an essay on something. Like I think writing skills are important. Like there's a lot of aspects where writing can help you in a lot of different facets, professionally, even personally, whatever it is. But at the same time, like I think, you know, that aspect of like something in real life is like art and music. We see it every day. We interact with it all the time, even when we're not actively thinking about that. So that's a good way to, I think, to always to engage. So I'm glad you mentioned both of those things. And then speaking of where you grew up, obviously Lawrence, 978, you've repped that for, I mean, you got the hat, you got it tatted on you. You are just like
my chain, you feel me?
Oh yeah, I didn't even notice the chain.
Like I'm really like.
You're really about it. Well, I'm from the 978 too, not
Yes, that's
same
right.
area
That's
code.
right. That's
so
right.
I definitely resonate with a lot of that. When I first found you and got introduced to who you were as a artist, as ISHA from the 978, automatically for me, I was like, let's go. Like this is sick.
Facts.
Someone that's actually repping 978, not just like Boston. You know what I mean? Which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But
if you're not from there, don't rep it.
Right. And so you clearly, obviously went that direction, which makes total sense. And so growing up in Lawrence, and I asked, we had Navi in here a couple weeks ago, and we mentioned, big shout out to Navi, Melks as well, two Lawrence guys who, we love as well. And, we talked a little bit about the art scene in Lawrence, and something that, Navi was speaking about was he thought that a lot of artists or just creatives in general from Lawrence are really starting to kind of find their niches and find their lanes. And so I was kind of curious about, how was Lawrence inspirational to you when you were, start really getting serious about music, and like when that sort of initially that breaking point started? Because I know you said like you were kind of messing around with some poetry and performing in high school and middle school, but like, I guess first question would be like, what parts or aspects of Lawrence were like super inspirational to you? And then also like, when did you really start to take the artistry like a lot more seriously?
I guess when I used to sneak out of my house when I was 16, I used to sneak out of my house to go to this, I want to call it an artistic Boys and Girls Club program called Movement City. And my mom didn't believe in extracurriculars, none of that shit. So I would have to sneak out of her house. She would work the best shift. She would work 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. So I had the whole house to myself all day. So I would wait till she goes to work, sneak out, go to the studio. And once I started seeing that there was a lot of kids my age that, were in the same bracket as in a mental capacity, that is. Whereas, we know we're good at something, but we just don't have that drive or more so like that push to really start it. So just seeing this group of kids and kind of all going through it together really, really motivated me. And then that's when we started going to these local open mics. Big shout out to Nate. He actually passed the baton maybe 2016, and I was hosting open mics for like 7 years straight. And that was like awesome because it's almost like I was the mother. And I was bringing all my kids, like basically helping them grow as far as their artistry, while I was also growing and taking notes as well. And I feel like those open mics, probably the only thing Lawrence had at that time. And then I graduated high school, went on for a little bit, COVID came, and then like obviously everything died down. And I feel like once COVID came, it's like I really had to touch base with like myself spiritually, mentally, physically, because there wasn't a lot of community events going on. But I did surround myself around a lot of artists that, you know, obviously came from my city, and like, you know, we were able to see each other from Movement City to El Tayel open mics, going through COVID, and then finally like find ourselves. I feel like I do agree with what Navi said. For the majority, a lot of the artists are finding their niche, but the music scene in Lawrence is a little bit, I wouldn't say there really is much of a scene right now. It's like, because I was doing these open mics since 2014, I don't see a lot of those artists, you know, a lot of them didn't stick through it with what they wanted. I feel like maybe it was a hobby or something, but it was very unfortunate to see like they kind of pivoted another way, which isn't wrong. I feel like it's funny. I was at an event yesterday where they were talking about pivoting, and it's like pivoting is not a bad thing. No. But as someone who's always been dedicated since a young age, it's kind of like discouraging in a way to see like your friends that you shared these memories with, you know, go a different lane. And I personally am not one to like dictate one's life, but I feel like they could have went about it in a better way. I don't see like a lot of unity in my city. There's like little groups, like little cliques, and you know, Navi's surrounded with the right people. But like me, for example, I don't really have a clique of artists that I can say, hey, you know, we all like, there's just no hidden animosity. It's really like unity. I don't really see a lot of unity in my city. Like I said, I do have a few selective amount of artists, but as a collective, the reason why I started going to Boston, 2-3 years ago, and I started like putting myself more out there in the Brockton and Boston area, was because I was kind of sick of how my city was treating me at the time. And even then, I still never stopped repping, because like I feel like that's just what it is, and anybody could say that. Anybody that's upcoming in their city, you don't feel that love in your city, you're gonna feel it elsewhere, and then you're gonna feel it in your city once they see other people are supporting. So it's very flip-floppy. But for the most part, right now, I don't really think Lawrence has the craziest music scene. Like, if you ask me right now to name like 10 I could probably just name you 10 that I know that are really going as crazy as I am, as far as like drive, mentality, like consistency. I can only name like about 10. So that's kind of unfortunate, but hey. And we're speaking my age, because obviously the OGs has always been putting work. Let's just say that.
Well, that's kind of an interesting point too, because like you said, like when I think Lawrence, there is a lot of the OGs, right? That like your terms,
you got
of the
terminology,
words,
exactly.
Yeah,
love him,
and that crew of people, and then you would think that there would be this like new wave, and you know maybe there isn't as much as,
and there was for a little, but like I said, they just went their own ways, and
and that can happen. I mean, you know, I've had plenty of people that I know that were super creative and talented and multitude of facets, and they just sometimes decided to go for the more, I don't want to say easy path, because no path I don't think is necessarily easy, but maybe the more like secure path, like the more stable potentially of like, because again, it's as we know, it's not exactly easy to you know, financially support yourself making art and being creative. Like, you know, even us opening this studio, like it was a huge leap, and you know, it's still a leap, and you know, but I've always kind of been of the mindset that I would rather give this all a shot, and like I'd rather just fall on my ass and fail than not try at all. Like that was always my mentality, and then because it'll be a cool story either way, like whether it's a story of success or story of failure, like I can kind of pass that on to whether it be, you know, students of mine or, you know, my kids someday potentially, like that. I always felt like that made more sense to me than it did to not, you know, not, I don't want to say not try, but just to kind of maybe stop doing something that, you know, maybe I was having some traction with. But because I think too, a lot of people can be more, a lot of people say they're scared of failure, but I think some people too in a lot of ways are scared of success.
And you know what it is? I was seeing this documentary of Kanye yesterday, and he was talking about how his mom's his biggest inspiration, and how his mom has taught him that he can do anything, and that you have to be willing to fail. That's the beauty of behind this art, and that's why I say it's discouraging, because it's like a lot of people enter the not even just music, anything in the arts, they enter with the mentality that, you know, they set this, you know, a delusional goal, which I am super delusional. You have to be delusional, but they set this goal where it's like, okay, by 21, I'm going to be rich, and I'm going to have a house, and I'm going to have this car, and then when they don't see that it's moving the way they wanted it to be, suddenly their dream or their passion for what it is they wanted to do dies down. And that's why I feel like a lot of people do this as a hobby, and that's okay, but like, if you're going to do it as a hobby, you have to find that enjoyment, like, consistently. Yes, there's, you know, there's different ways to be stable in life, and like, maybe, you know, you need a plan B or plan C, but like, me personally, like, if I do fail, it's like, what am I failing at? My dream isn't to be rich. My dream isn't to be famous. I feel like I'm naturally a likable person, but at the end of the day, music, whether people like me or not, music will not stop. I'll always be creating, because it's my love. It's the love for it just doesn't die. And obviously, you know, I'm 25 now. Obviously, I thought I was going to be rich and famous by 21. But when I hit 21, it's like, okay, I'm just going to keep going crazy. Going crazy, going harder. And as I see other people my age continuously, you know, achieving and going for it, regardless of what they, you know, envisioned years back, it's like you find more beauty in it within yourself, because you're surrounded by people that also find beauty with that same mentality, rather than, I'm not really going anywhere, I'm getting older, like, I gotta make my bread, I'm not really gonna do this music anymore. It's like, you didn't really love it, you just saw a dollar sign at the end of it. So it's like, hey, like, that's cool, but...
Well, yeah, and like you said, then maybe you just weren't in it for the right reason then, which is
exactly.
Whatever. That's fine. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with that.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. In the creative space, you have to really love it, and if you don't, it's going to be really hard to justify it to yourself, but also like just to kind of even just to keep going forward, like, because there's just nothing, because money comes and goes, all those material things, like you said, the house, the car, like all those things, like it all kind of comes and goes. And it's cliche to say, but it's true. And, you know, stability is important. Like I definitely value that 100%. But at the same time, you know, I don't know. I would rather be, I don't say poor, but I'd rather be struggling and happy than like, not to say rich, but just like financially stable and just kind of like not super happy with where, like, what I'm doing. Because that's kind of where I was, to be honest with you. Like, yeah, cool, have a salary job, that's awesome, but like, am I happy? No. So let's fix that. There's so many ways
to make money and still enjoy what you're doing.
100%.
And you don't have to quit music or pause anything it is you want to do, whatever it is in your life. You shouldn't have to pause something because you have to, you know, pay some bills. You have to find balance with everything you love. And I feel like me being able to balance music, you know, motherhood, my friendships, my jobs, like being able to like balance it so well is what keeps me going. It's like I don't lose love for anything that I'm passionate about in my life, and I haven't for the past 5+ years, because I know how to make time for the things I love. And yeah, like obviously working 2 jobs isn't fun, but I know like sometimes I do have to sacrifice because reality does hit. We do got bills to pay, but I will always make sure I make time for my music as well. So it's not like I'm prioritizing one thing more than the other. It's more so like just keeping an equal balance, equal love for everything, and making sure that while I'm also accomplishing like real life shit, I'm also still making music, still flourishing as an artist. And obviously, you know, like I said, finding time for motherhood and my friends, like all of that's very, very important. And it could be overwhelming for people who don't have that mentality, that entrepreneurship mentality as well.
No, and I want to commend you for that. Actually, glad you brought that up, because I do see that from afar, from a distance. I'm like, I've thought about that even when I was preparing for this. I'm like, how do you honestly balance all of it? Like, cause I find it difficult, all the balance, and I don't even have a child. And like,
I know people forget I have a kid sometimes because
like,
how crazy I make my life look.
Yeah.
perception is one hell of a devil, because obviously
It
I'm going to
is.
make my social media look perfect, but I go through real life shit like everybody
of course
else
you
does.
do. Yeah, we all
It's
do.
not going to show that. So
Sure.
from someone looking from the outside, they're like, wow, she's doing this and that, and she's a mom. But it's really like, it's not that hard at all.
Yeah.
And I inspire a lot of my, friends that do have kids, like shout out Maystar, I love him to death. Shout out R3tro, like shout out Kalinda, like all my parent friends, like absolutely love them because they're all in the same boat as me, going crazy, very driven, very inspiring as well.
Yeah, and I was watching this podcast recently with this, actually, believe it or not, divorce lawyer. I don't know why it was very much like intrigued to me. Well, I come from a family of divorce, so I think that's part of it. But anyway, he was suggesting, his name's James Sexton, if anyone's ever heard of him. He's had a couple of really interesting interviews. And the one that I was listening to recently was he was saying he thinks it's insane, and maybe this is a better perspective for you to give, is that he thinks it's insane for people to make their children their biggest accomplishment of their life. He thinks that while it is important to, foster the children that you have and help them grow, and the goal at the end of the day is for them to be independent human beings when they're 18, 19, 20, 21, those early ages. And if they're not, then somehow we've failed as a parent, if they're too dependent on their parents still and whatnot. And I found that fascinating work, because I think that our society kind of pushes that, oh my God, the best and most important thing you'll ever do is having kids. And that's great. But what about you? What about yourself? What about what fulfills you? That, I think he said it a lot more eloquently than I am right now, but I found it very it was almost the reverse of everything I've ever heard. Right. And it was really nice to hear that outside aspect of it, where it's it's important, but you're kind of a human being in the day that has other obligations, but also passions and things like that. And, you shouldn't have to do everything for your kids. We should be, and I don't know, I think there's a way in which that we can strike that balance, as you're mentioning. So I found that kind of fascinating. Right.
My son's mad young. He's about to be 3 in 2 months. So it's although these years are very crucial, it's a lot he's not going to remember. I feel like as long as I do spend some time with him, take some time to take him out, speak to him, read to him, educate him. Me, being out every other day, going to the studio, do this and that, it's not really going to be as detrimental to him. Whereas where I grew up, my mom was always out in the club or out working. I didn't really get that one-on-one time with her. Which is what I remember, because I didn't get that one-on-one time with my mother. All I could remember was her being out. And I was like, you know what? I want it to be different with my son. Yes, I'm always going to be out, but I'm going to make sure that quality time is spent. You know what I'm saying? My son doesn't come first. And everybody will look at me crazy well, how dare you? My son does not come first. I feel like I have to come first always. I've my whole life, I put everybody before me. And it's how can I put my son first and expect him to have, the best mom in the world? I need to make sure my mental's 100%, because I don't want to, pass on any trauma to him. I got to make sure, spiritually, I'm intact with myself. I look in the mirror and I'm fully content with who I am, so that one, he can have the best mother in the world. My friends can have, the best version of me. Everybody then comes after that. But I feel like if you don't put yourself first, you're not really living the life you should be living, and people aren't gonna be getting the energy that they're deserving of. And I don't think it's selfish either. My son definitely comes second, though. Okay, it's me, my son, and music. Definitely, it's a lot, yo. I make it seem like everything comes first, though, the way I balance it. But yeah,
no, I think and that's kind of what he was getting at in the podcast, was that that absolutely we should in our own lives come first, and no, and I struggle with that too. I mean, not that I have kids, but I don't want to get too much of my stuff. But yeah, I can relate to that a lot. I put a lot of people first at a younger age than probably I should have, and then I had to almost relearn that.
Obviously, in some situations, you're gonna put certain people before.
Of course,
this is a general statement.
Yeah. I don't.
For someone talking shit.
Yeah. Before she's like, oh my God, she doesn't put her son first. What the fuck? No, obviously, there's definitely situations you're going to do that.
Right.
You were off air tonight, as we're recording this, it's Halloween, and you were saying tonight, I'm making sure my son has the best Halloween possible. That's that's the difference, right?
Before I have these two events back to back.
Exactly. So you're still going to make sure he has his great Halloween, and then you're still going to go do what you need to do. And that's the point. That's I think where, you know, it gets lost in translation, where it's like, no, I am going to put, like, he is a priority, but he is not necessarily like the utmost of priorities, because, you know, I have some of these other things I need to work on. But yes, of course, like if he needs me, I'm there. And like, so I think like, yeah, don't get it twisted, people. She's
girls going to therapy now. Like I'm making sure, like I've really like had a rough year last year, and somewhat this year, not as rough as last year. But I told myself, you know, like I'm really gonna start putting in the work, because I've noticed a lot of repetitive cycles, and you know, you want to make change, you got to be the change. You got to.
Yeah. That's well said. I got to get back to, hopefully as this podcast airs, I'll be back. But I mean, I've always felt it, you know, helpful, and I stopped going maybe a year ago, and I feel like I should have. I've gone through spurts with it. You know, there's been years on end where I go.
That's the best part.
I know.
So.
Yeah. So I agree with that. I think you got to put that mental health stuff first. So totally understand. I do want to transition quickly to the, or not quickly, but to the main lesson of the show, where we talk about what you got going on now. And I really want to talk about this new project that you dropped, RIP ISHA from the 978. Like it's a great body of work.
Fucking, it's so good.
It's so good. I absolutely love it. It's gonna be linked in the description. Don't go anywhere. As much as you might want to go, like, you know, listen to it. Well, we got plenty left with ISHA. But after this episode, make sure you check out some of the links in the description for videos of ISHA's, and obviously wherever you get your music to stream it.
Because it is everywhere.
It is everywhere. It is everywhere. I mean, everything's dope about it. Like, it was funny. I was with Boston's Big Four guys recently. I went on their show recently. And afterwards, we're hanging out, and we're listening to some music, and you came up actually, and we watched, I can't remember, I think it was maybe the You and I video, or maybe it was a different video, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we were listening to one of the songs, and like the cover art came out, and I just looked at it, and I'm like, man, like I said to the guys, and they'll verbatim, I did say this, they can you know, verify. I was like, that looks like, if I didn't know her and I saw that album cover, like
the
that
one
looks
with just
like
my headshot.
Yeah, the headshot.
Right.
I was like, that looks like a fucking superstar.
It
like,
does, and I just changed the cover art because
I know.
Right. So it's crazy. I felt like I didn't even know my plan wasn't even to drop an album this year. I was just recording every single weekend. I was doing another song to the point where I just had too many songs, and I'm like, you know what, let's just drop a project. I've been meaning to drop this name. It was very emotional, hard thing for me. And so then I did the cover art super last minute, because I was like, oh my gosh, we have to give it at least 4 weeks to, you know, process through all these distributors and whatnot. And I'm just like, all right, let's just do like a last minute show, make it look death-y, spooky, whatever. And I really looked at it after I dropped it and everything. I'm like, this is not it. I put it on a t-shirt. I was like, this is not it. I noticed I didn't get a lot of about the cover. I was more so the fact that I dropped an album, but the art itself, it's obviously so important to have good cover art. And I was like, I had a shoot literally like a week after, and I was like, you know what? This picture is it. Like, I just saw it, and I was like, it especially with the hair, like this hair is gonna go soon, like I'm gonna grow my hair out again, and it's like, it's literally everything about the picture and the name being RIP from the 978. It's like I'm letting a lot of things go, just not just the name, but the sound and the image. And it's like, yeah, I love that move. It was a very smart move.
It was. I agree. My question to you, first off, before we dive into like the actual musicality of it, and, you know, not nitpick it, but sort of like break it down. I'm just kind of curious about that exactly, like your decision to go from ISHA from the 978 to ISHA. Like what was like behind that? Is this something you've been thinking about for a long time? Or, you know, like why do you think it was important to like separate that part of your persona and just be ISHA? Like what is about this new sort of journey that you're on from your artist standpoint that you felt like changing your artist name was like, I mean, it's not like that much different, but like...
No, but it is, because it's my city, you know, and it's like, yeah. I honestly never thought about changing my name. And then I joined this artist incubator by the name of Beat the Odds with Paul Gio and Paul Gio and Rob. And they're amazing. Like, they're honestly, like, they've helped me so much. And I've learned so much in just a course of like, 3 months. And you know, being marketable was one thing I definitely learned. And I was like, yo, like, my name isn't as marketable. It's super long. Everybody gets it wrong. Everybody who doesn't know me gets it wrong. It's like, Isha from the 6121. Like, it was a lot of controversy behind the name, especially. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the one name, the short name, it's just, I see more longevity behind it. Like, you know, you got Rihanna and you got Sierra, you just got the Beyonce, it's just the one name. I feel like it looks better on flyers, it looks better on a feature. Like, it's very easy, it's very short, it's just Isha. And I've tested it, you know, I've tested it in real life, you know. People's attention spans already is like you know what I'm saying? Everybody has short attention span, and you just think about spelling the name out, and like people just want to find a song and just get it right there. Nobody wants to think, because as soon as someone wants to think about a song, they just go on to finding another song. So it's like there was just so much. I feel some way
about that, but I hear you. But I hear you're right. It's the reality.
It is, and it's like, yo, I was just like, you know what? I feel like I was making music for everybody else. I wasn't really diving into like what I wanted to do, because like I grew up listening to everything. I want to do everything because I feel like I'm very versatile. I love trying different things. I love catering to different crowds, you know, like I love, as much as I love making club music and dancehall, I love making alternative music. I love making R&B. So I was like, you know what? If we're going to throw the name away, we're going to like finally dive into like what it means to truly be Isha and like the true artistry behind who she is. And I feel like that's what that album really like, you know, mirrored, was just who I always wanted to be and who I always thought I was, you know, deep inside, but not necessarily accepted by, you know, not even just the community, just in general. I feel like a lot of people weren't accepting of it because they were so accustomed to that just one sound that I was giving them. And a lot of people don't like change. Like, people always sit here and say, I missed old Kanye, I missed old Drake. And it's like, you got to really love evolution. You got to understand that people are still growing. Could be 90 and you're still growing. People are still evolving every day. Like,
I think you should still be growing until
we're
gone. You know, the day we're gone, because I think that's honestly not to get too deep into this part of it, but I think that's a big problem in this country right now is that people are unwilling to look at a different perspective potentially, or they reach a certain age and they think, you know what, I don't need to learn anymore. Like, I'm good. Like, I feel like I've hit my quota. I'm like, and I just don't ever personally want to have that mindset, because I always want to be open to new ideas and new things and growing, because like that's kind of the point. Isn't that the point of this? Is, I don't know. I don't feel like any sort of complacency in any facet makes sense to me. So yeah, I mean, maybe Isha from the 978, you know, to kind of go back to more of a secular thing here, like maybe that it served its purpose for the time it did, and now you have evolved.
Well, like 10 years.
Yeah, you had that. Yeah, you are maybe a different. Well, not maybe. You are certainly a different person now than you were 10 years ago. So, and you're in a different place in terms of your artistry and where you're going. Clearly, like how everything's just looking and sounding. It's all there. So yeah, it's inevitable that that would make sense to change it. Right. So really cool. Well, I commend you, and definitely you should be proud of yourself, as I'm sure you are. And
I know. I literally cried the day. And another reason why it was so hard was because, you know, Apple Music has started this new thing as of 2023 where you can't change your name. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came to a point where too many artists are changing their name. It's very, you know, it's a lot to process. You think about every, you know, platform, every distributor has to change. You think about it like, damn, like imagine having that as a job, getting a million different name changes every day. So it's like Apple Music did this thing where now you cannot change your new music. So I then had to make a decision to delete all my music or keep it on the old page and create a new one. And I decided to just wipe it out. I just wiped it. I was like, you know what? Like, half of these songs I don't even feel like have any longevity to them. Again, it was attached to the name, made a new page. Luckily, a lot of my data was transferred. I do love that they did do that. And then, you know, like one of my biggest songs being One Night, I was nervous about that one because I had to delete it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like all my streams and all that. But honestly, like numbers, all that shit is temporary. Like, I feel like there's a whole world out there. And I had to really dive into that, like, you know, mentality and be like, yo, like, yeah, like you've accomplished so much here, but think about how much more you can accomplish, especially with this name change, with this new rebrand. People are going to take you serious. People are going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially you saying, like, you seeing that cover art. And obviously if you didn't know me, it'd be like, whoa, like who is this? Like that's what I want to do with the rest of the world, is just catch an eye and catch a vibe and like be able to like keep them there rather than like.
And you're thinking from
a exactly, and I'm thinking global because ISHA from the 978 was more local. There's no issue about it, but now I'm thinking global. I'm thinking worldwide.
As you should be.
And like some people in my city caught feelings, and I'm like, dude, it's not like I don't have it tatted twice and rep it everywhere I go.
I feel like you're just knowing
that's never going. Like how Pitbull is 305, 305. That's me, literally.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not like if you're someday at MSG or whatever and you've sold out some crazy arena. We're gonna manifest that right now for you, and I guarantee you're gonna be saying
Pitbull had everyone saying 305. Now that I think about it, like come on,
it's really not it's not that deep.
No,
you know what I mean?
Not.
It's not like it was a total. You came out with some diss track towards the 978. It's just like, no, this is what's good for you now, and that makes total sense. You're always gonna rep it. And I don't know. I don't see any problem with it. If in fact, I actually would see a problem with it if you felt like maybe this is a good change for me to make, but I'm not going to make it because of like some other reason. Like I feel like this is just inevitably a good choice for you, just long term. And yeah, so I'm here for it. You got my support.
Yes.
The exclamation, which is cool.
Because somebody already has the name ISHA, some guy from like down south, and he's gonna go. Sorry, you gotta go. You gotta go because who the fuck are you?
It looked kind of cool with you and MUDA's names next to each other with the exclamation points. I'm like, they look kind of dope. I do want to get into the collaborators, and I want to talk a little bit more about the actual project, like content wise. But we're gonna pivot real quick. It's actually time for a pop quiz.
Ooh, so no.
That's usually the reaction we get if you're a fan of ISHA and just being introduced to us for the first time. Pop quiz is a segment where we ask our guests rapid fire questions. Some have to do with music, some have absolutely nothing to do with music whatsoever. Well, it's just stuff I found out about you.
I wasn't the best in school, guys. 3.1 GPA.
3.1?
Yeah.
That's not bad. 3.1 is like a B average, I think.
Oh, wait, I lied. Why did I say 3.1? What the fuck? 2.9.
Oh, you had 2.9?
Why the fuck did I say 3.1?
2.9 is still not terrible. It's like probably like C+-ish. You're good.
I got into 5 colleges, though.
Yeah,
okay, pop quiz.
You're here. It's not a big deal. You're here. Don't worry about high school anymore. So anyway, they're all about you, so you can't fail. There's nothing. You're gonna get a 4. You're gonna get a 4.0 on this. It's not like I'm gonna ask you some like trivia question. They're all about you.
Okay.
Describe what it was like to have opened for Young M.A. after you had started rapping over her beats like years and years ago.
Wow, look at you doing your homework.
Oh, I got better ones than that. So
shout out Vaz. First of all, Vaz is amazing because Vaz actually got me that show.
Dope.
My first biggest show, which landed me so many opportunities after. But honestly, performing in my city for like, such a big artist at that time, it was super amazing. I had a maybe 16-minute set, which was probably my biggest. I've never done a set that long, obviously at that age. And I was very tired, but I got the crowd going. I had like a nice show mix going. The community was really fucking with me. It was honestly a great night. I had my friends there supporting me. And, and then I got to see Young M.A., so it was awesome. It was super cool. I feel like after that night, everything has changed as far as like just the tunnel vision of it all. I feel like everything went like super right with it. I was gonna say left. Everything went right after. Literally like a couple weeks maybe after I ended up hosting Chief Keef's show after, and I was like, yep, I got this.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
I was like, I got this. Like, this is not even that hard. Like, imagine last minute going to a Chief Keef concert. They're like, yeah, you want to host it? And it's just a bunch of people like, who is this bitch? I want to see Chief. But I was like, a lot of good practice. Honestly, a lot of good opportunities came after that. But
sick.
That show is definitely one of the shows I will always mention because my life like changed like drastically after that.
And she was big at that time too. Like she was.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not that she isn't now.
She's coming back.
Yeah.
She got
at the time. I feel like she was.
She got a couple bangers
coming
back.
Dope.
But yeah.
You are quite tatted. I was curious what your favorite tattoo is.
Ooh, my favorite tattoo is this one. It's eccentric. I always say eccentric.
Oh my God. That's so weird you said that. I didn't realize that's what it said. I have. I'll say it later, but yeah,
I don't know if you guys can see it, but
eccentric.
My favorite tattoo.
Well, that's how I would describe you.
Exactly.
You're quite eccentric in the best way.
And then my nose tattoo, just the 2 lines itself is my favorite. I feel like
subtle.
Very subtle. It's a big meaning behind it. Everybody always asks me, why you got 2 lines tatted? And it's more so like a tribal thing. Like I'm very like into learning about my roots. Like I didn't even know my father was half Haitian till like 2020.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? I was always, I knew my father's black. It's evident he's black, but it's like I was always going around like, yeah, I'm Afro-Dominican, but I never really knew exactly where my father came from. And then once I found out I was Haitian, I was like, yeah, you know what? It's time to like really deep into my roots. Like, because what else am I? Like, where else am I coming from? Yeah. And like since a young age, I was always drawing on my face, drawing these little tribal markings and like, growing up, like the little girl would look up to Cinderella. I used to look up to Native Americans. I used to look up to Apocalypto. I don't know if you guys know that movie. It's a really good movie, but I just loved the braids and the markings and the tattoos and the earrings and the piercings. And I was like, wow, that's what I want to be. But why do I want to be it? I feel like I really like to dissect why it is I want to do a lot of things in my life. And I was like, you know what? It's definitely a calling. Once I really like fell in love with who I was spiritually and started really like dissecting it, I was like, yeah, like I was called to do this. And it's like, it's be like tidying my body and you know, mutilate, like whatever you call it. Like it's very like spiritual to me. It's like, it's very fun. They all have meanings behind it. And like, I like excessive jewelry for a reason. It's not for attention. It's more so like a part of me. It's like it makes me feel warm. I don't know how to explain it. I got like 30 tattoos, I think. I don't know.
Okay, so you got almost twice the amount that I do. I feel the same way though. Like when I sit down in a tattoo chair and I like, it is in a lot of ways a spiritual experience for anybody that hasn't gotten a tattoo. Like it's a very, you know, I don't know. I don't see it as like the pain doesn't bother me really. Like I just so much like, I don't know. It's almost like a releasing experience. I can't even explain it.
You got it.
It's very much like, whoa, like I feel like you said, there is a spirituality to it. And what I've always said about my tattoos is like, you know, I'm not done. I want to keep going, but like I want to someday, like, cause I've had certain people.
You're really good at having them like.
I have 2 half sleeves.
Right. I know you do, but like, if I were to see what like,
I got a couple.
I always wish I had like hidden tattoos. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna do it everywhere. That's awesome though.
Yeah, no,
you just sit at a job and you get it over with.
Yeah, and then no one knows. It's the coolest thing. But and then there's always actually a lot of people that know me in that setting, and then if they see me out in a different setting, or like if I wear like just a t-shirt or whatever, and they're kind of poking through, they're like, you have tattoos? Like nobody like thinks I do. And I think a lot of people never saw me as somebody that would, but I love the art form just in general. I think it's unbelievable. Like I've been a fan of like shows like Ink Master for like years and years and years and years. And I just love the fact that it's such a great form of expression. I always said this too, like, you know, always the counter, argument to me was always, well, you're not going to look good when you're 80. Well, I'm not going to look good when I'm 80 anyway, so I don't give a fuck why I look when I'm 80.
This septum going to be sagging. Nothing's coming up.
Nothing's going to look good anyway. And what I would prefer is like to maybe look back and be like, hey, like I remember like what I was thinking and where I was mentally when I got that. I can like look back at all of them and be like, I know where I got that. I know what mindset I was in. It's almost like a log of like your life.
Most definitely.
In some regard, but it's, I don't know. It's more authentic than like fucking YouTube or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, cause they say like, oh, it's an archive of life and generations. Yeah, but
we're
like,
gonna
I feel
look
like
super cool.
I'm cool. Yeah,
I worked at a nursing home with this one resident who was tatted up, and I'm like, you look great. She was a girl. She was tatted from her neck down. I was like, yeah, that's me in the future. She looks awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I probably won't go all that
no,
way.
We're gonna look great.
I could probably go in the 2 halves. Two fulls. I'm sorry. I have it mapped out that like my 2 full sleeves. It's to get them done the right way I want to. It's just the bread, you know what I mean? But no, I'm all about it. I think the art form is fantastic. I think it's just a great form of expression. And yeah, I want to say too, to your point, like to your other point, you had mentioned learning a little bit more about your heritage. So my mom was adopted actually, so we didn't even know what she was until I was probably like 25-ish. And that was really cool to like, almost have like a whole other side of like my identity that I didn't know I had. Cause like my father was 100% Italian, off the boat type thing. So I always just kind of like, was synonymous with that.
That's fire.
And now it's cool like to have another side and be like, oh, cool. Like I'm Portuguese. I'm all these other things. Like this is cool. And like we went to Portugal actually last year, and it was just cool to like be able to like, oh, okay, like I have heritage here. And believe it or not, this is actually, I've never said this on air. This is crazy. So where we're sitting currently, we're in the Cumming Center, right? And my biological grandfather, so my mom's father, this used to be an industrial park. This is the craziest shit. I didn't know about this till about a few months when we were in here. So my grandfather used to work at this exact place when it was an industrial park, probably like 40, 50 years ago. Wow. And now I'm like here trying to like chase a dream.
He knows that, right?
I never met him, unfortunately.
Oh, well, I hope let's go find him. We could be like, yo.
Oh, he's long past, unfortunately. He's passed.
My gosh,
yeah, he passed before we got to
sorry.
meet him. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do you feel like him here? Like maybe like.
I don't know if I necessarily I feel what I will say. I don't know if I feel him specifically
I'm very
here.
strong about that stuff, so.
No, and in a lot of ways I am too. Not religious, but very spiritual.
No, yes.
I feel a pull here. I will say, like I feel like I'm where I need to be, if that makes sense. And I know, and I don't know if part of it is because of that, and maybe now just knowing that, maybe there's a bias there. I don't know. But when we got this studio space, like I weirdly had this just inkling that this was the right position, the right place.
That's like so beautiful. Stop. I'm getting emotional.
Months later,
That's
I'm
so
like,
cute.
oh my God, he worked here when it was an industrial park. Like he was an immigrant from Portugal, and just one of those situations where like I won't get too much into it, but I guess he wanted to get to know my mother, and my biological mother gave her up, refused. It was like the whole thing. And it is sad that, he passed and we weren't able to like actually meet him and get to know him once we figured out like who he actually was. But just to, I think, have that here was like really, I don't know, it was different. It was cool. It was
so cool.
It was an experience
That's
for sure to feel that. Yeah, but anyway, so I wanted to just I can relate to a lot of that, of what you were talking about, like getting to learn about your past and your heritage. So
Right.
Long-winded tangent, but that was a really cool conversation. So I know you love, just totally pivoting here. I know you love to go to the movies and review them online. So I was curious.
This guy, man, how you know this?
I'll tell you off air after we're done. I can't reveal sources on air. But what I want to ask you is, what movie has gotten your best review, or like what you can remember, and without thinking too difficult on it, like what movie has gotten like a really good review? It could be this year, it could be another year.
I go to movies a lot. Like,
and then what
I'm about to
movies
watch
got
Venom and Smile 2.
Okay.
Love. I can't wait to see it. I just saw Terrifier 3.
I heard that was crazy. I haven't seen it, but I heard it was nuts.
I remember what made me want to go see it was seeing a post about a girl saying she wanted to get up and leave after the first 10 minutes. I was like, aight. So I went with my best friend. Not even 10 minutes I wanted to leave. I was like, oh, they weren't kidding.
Nuts.
And I'm not really, okay, but I am kind of a pussy. But that's besides the point. I was just like, wow, that movie definitely, like, as far as like the graphics and the terror behind it, because I've seen the other ones and they weren't all that. Definitely a 10 out of 10. Okay. Talking storyline, I really hated it. I wish it ended the way I wanted to. But Terrifier 3, definitely blink twice. Definitely has.
I haven't seen that. I've heard it's really good.
It's basically about P. Diddy. It's not literally about P. Diddy, but it's
about
like what happens in the industry. If you think about it, it's literally, if you just go into the mentality of thinking about it like that.
Okay.
Like, this is what happens in the industry. That movie was amazing.
I've heard good things about that. I just recently watched Trap. Have you seen that?
I do like know what you're talking about, but no,
it was very good.
Okay.
I'm a big M. Night Shyamalan guy. Like, he's hit or miss for me. Like his hits are like yes, and his misses are like what the fuck are you doing type deal. But this one I felt I think you'd like it. I think it was very good, and it was very much like it was just the premise was cool, that like they're trying to like trap him at a concert. I thought that was like super fascinating.
Right.
Like,
it's still in movies or no?
It's not anymore. No, it's out on like I think it's on HBO Max. Maybe.
Yeah, no, I definitely watch it. You're not the first person to just tell me to watch that. But
it was good. But
definitely great.
Cool. Yeah, I know you're a big moviegoer.
I love movies.
What's your Mount Rushmore favorite movies? Like your top 4 favorite movies ever, without thinking too hard.
White Chicks, classic, of
Great
course. Film. Love that movie. I love Sleepwalkers. Love a good Stephen King film. Let me see. Toy Story 3, absolutely.
Great film. Just
thinking about movies that I could rent that just popped to me. Yeah. I can't really think right now, but those 3 movies are definitely like my home, like my comfort movies, for sure.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's your obsession with hot dogs and corn dogs, and what are some of the non-negotiables when it comes to certain condiments that have to go on them?
I love a good glizzy. I don't care what anyone says. I go to 7-Eleven and I eat 7-Eleven glizzies. All my friends talk shit about it. I'll eat it plain.
Plain.
I'm psychotic.
Huh.
As long as I got a good buttery bread and a beef dog, not pork, I will definitely enjoy it. It's not an obsession, but it's like my to-go. Like, we're at a carnival or we're late night drunk. Like, let's go get a glizzy.
Let's go get a glizzy. Well, I know there's like a big community out there of people that are like so avidly against ketchup on hot dogs, which I never.
I like everything on it.
All right, cool.
Anything.
Yeah.
Everything and anything on it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same, but
Right.
when I have them. But, this one could be a little crazy, but we'll see how it goes. I know you've had a lot of unwanted DMs in the past, but without naming names, what's maybe the worst slide in the DMs attempt you can think of off the top of your head? I saw even you post one time where a guy like stated he was going to leave his girl for you, which I thought was kind of crazy. But
yeah, that I actually do. That was a while ago. I ended up telling his girl and whatever, ridiculous. It was I just dropped the eater and someone came in my DMs like, oh, I just lost my favorite eater, and I was like, oh my gosh, like obviously playing around knowing that I was his favorite eater. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for that. They were like, yeah, I miss you. I'm just like. Or the God told me to DM you. He said DM me back. I was just like, or it would be like just the little corny ones, like when Future drops album, it's like, oh, this album reminded me of the times. Da, 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 da. Like it's just so ridiculous. You guys have no game at all.
Gotta get on it, guys.
I'm looking at both cameras. You guys have no game.
Yeah, either look into both cameras. Let them know. No game. My last question in pop quiz. This was where the eccentric part. I know you even had eccentric tat on you. This is so crazy.
You say eccentric. Someone told me it's eccentric. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna say how I want.
All right, yeah.
I like eccentric.
I like eccentric too. I haven't heard anybody correct me on it, but I know you've had some like wildly eccentric nail designs over the years, and you're rocking them right now. As I say it, they're phenomenal. Just wow. That's all I could say. Is there one that like a nail design you've had in the past that you really enjoyed or thought was like superior amongst the rest? Or you just somebody that just like you kind of when you get them done, you're just like go crazy. Like,
I do tell her to go crazy, and she loves me. I'm her favorite client because
I can imagine that she's your favorite client,
right? Because everybody does the basics, and I'm like, you know what? Let's go crazy. But she did do this one design. It was like a black French with like a pop up like worm silver like chain type of look. Very like all of me. I absolutely loved that set. This is a close second though.
Those are good. Those are good. Well, that was pop quiz with Isha. She did fantastic. You got 4.0. You got an A.
100%. Yay.
You did great. Want to come back to the album. Got a couple more questions about it. First, obviously, the impact of the collaborators on this. I mean,
the best collaborators.
When I saw the track list and obviously the producers, but also the features, I was like, Chef's Kiss, perfect. Like I feel like it just worked all. And then when I listened to it, it just worked. Obviously, MUDA, Caev, Big Sosa,
So
Neo
one of my
R3tro.
favorite artists from Boston.
Who?
All four of them.
All four of them.
I
Yeah,
decided
they're
to include
fantastic.
my favorite artists for a reason.
So was that like were these more organic because like you have good relationships with these people, or is it just more or less like you sought them out? You're like, I need you on my album.
I'll tell you how each of them went. So Bully was recorded last year on my birthday, and it was supposed to be a single, but I was like, I need a feature on it. So I had one of my boys feature on it, but it wasn't hitting. I was like, I need a strong female. When I could think strong female, the first woman I thought about was Big Sosa. Her presence, her delivery, like she's super swagged out. I love everything about her, and I was like, she'd be perfect for this song, especially because I did the whisper tone.
Right.
So, I pitched it to her a few months later, and she was like, yeah, like, what the fuck? She recorded to it instantly, like, within, like, weeks, like, 2-3 weeks. She was like, already did the verse. But I have this thing where I record and I don't drop because I like to be very strategic, and I'm really happy I saved that song for the album. MUDA, I met MUDA at the Testing Lab All-Stars show, which was, 4 or 5 months ago? And when I met him, I was starstruck. Like, a lot of people can't have me like that, like, or haven't had me like that. When I saw him, I was just like, and I'm just in the front row, and I'm next to this girl, and I'm like, he's fucking awesome. She was like, yeah, that's my man. I'm like, I was just like, I was like, and she looked amazing, and I was like, I get it. And as soon as he got off the stage, I told him, I was like, I need you on a song. I need you in a video. And I need your girlfriend in the video. Like, let's just all make this happen. Like, let's go. Because I'm a very friendly girl. But I also want to make sure that, if my fellow friend or whatever is in a relationship, I want to show that equal respect. Because I just had too much issues with that in the past. So
I get it.
I held both of their hands, mind you, first night meeting them. I'm like, you guys are beautiful. Da, da, da. Just saying all these great things. Sent him the song that same night. He sent me the verse back, and I was like, dude, you're the perfect guy for it. Like, this was amazing. That was such a great touch, honestly. MUDA's very talented.
Very talented. He's
Like,
got the voice.
I can't wait till he blows. He's perfect. He's literally perfect.
Yeah, he's got it all.
And then Retro's my best friend. Like, Retro's really been there for me through it all. And, like, he's such a fucking musical genius. And I really need people to understand what type of genius Retro is, because he's as versatile as me. He really could just, you could just give him a beat and he'll just do it. He doesn't need no notepad, no phone. His mind is so beautiful. And I'm just like, I had this thing where I would go to the Thrill Studios all the time and just chill with Retro and my boy Fuego and them, and we'd just vibe out. And then that stupid song, Nicka Chicken, like, which I didn't even think was it actually wasn't gonna make the album. It made the album the last week of deciding, and I was like, yeah, we need an unserious song there. Let's give them a little bit of everything. We just freestyled that off the top, so natural. We were just so drunk in the moment. I was like, yeah, this is perfect.
It's Retro. A wild ride.
Mind you, me and Retro have like over 10 songs together, but that one made the cut. I was like, this is going to be perfect for the album. Right, and then last but not least, Caev, whom I met this year as well, another like very special person to me, and very genuine guy, very supportive guy, supports women like to the fullest. He came to Thrill. Within that same week, we recorded Nicka Chicken, and Maddie O, he produced that beat. He sent it to Caev originally. Caev played it to me. I was like, no, we're on it. We're getting on it. It's getting on the album. That's an outro. Boom. Caev's another one. Went straight out in the booth, did his thing, and delivered. And honestly, like, I love doing sequels and prequels to songs. So I feel like the order of that album was very, very thought out. And I didn't want to start with a crazy banger. But I feel like You and I is such a special song to me. Everybody says uni, and I'm here to clear it out. It's You and I, 3 letters.
If you listen to the song, people, and for about 30 seconds,
right,
it's pretty clear what it is.
Close to unity, so I was like, you know what? It kind of, you guys could say uni, but no, it is You and I. I was like, I was going to drop this project called You and I earlier this year, and I decided to just make it the intro of the album. And I was like, you know what, Caev? Let's make a You and I part 2, and let's make it the outro, and let's have, like, I just wanted the flow of the album to feel very, you know, organic and like just very smooth. Like when you're listening to the songs in order, they flow in perfectly onto the next.
I agree.
Even when you repeat it up to track 1 again, it's like, honestly, I thought very, very hard about how I was gonna, you know, maneuver with this album. But honestly, it's like my favorite line of work right now. Even with the video drop for You and I feel like my plans for the rest of the year is to drop one more visual for a song that's not on the project, because I do want to continue pushing the project within the new year. But I kind of want to just let it breathe out for a little bit, do a video to a song that isn't out, that has been out, that people keep telling me release it again. I don't know which song it is yet, but I like to listen to people a lot. When people tell me do something, I'm like, you know what? People want it, let's give it to them. So just been focusing a lot on collabs. Yeah. And just visuals. Really, really excited.
Yeah, and then the visual you and Tyler Loyal have went crazy. That's another really good one as well. I know
that was such a great idea too, because One Night's been out for 3 years, and I never thought about dropping a video to it until he randomly sent me a verse back in Christmas. Mind you, I never thought about even making a song with him. He just sent me a verse because it's a YouTube beat. It's a rhythm, and what rhythms are, it's like it's just free to use for any artist. And I was like, yeah, we're doing a video to this, and we got to make it crazy. We got to have the people talking, and it went great. It's still great. I'm actually performing. I got a last minute gig after my first gig, and they were like, yeah, you want to perform one night for 200? I was like, yeah. So I'm about to do that. I'm going to perform one song, collect my bag, and leave.
There you go.
That song has done so much for me. Gosh. Mind you, I wrote that song on the way to the studio in the car, January 2021.
No shit.
Yeah. Wow. Super depressed. I was super sad. I was super fucked in the head. Super, super skinny, smoking every day. I was just fucked. I wrote that banger.
You did. You wrote that banger. And then you performed the shit out of that banger. So. And the visual is top notch. And clearly, I think it just like, it blew. It really did. And just, I mean, everything about it. The song just is catchy. the visual was there. You and Tyler's chemistry on set seemed great. Like everything just kind of came together on that one. And then, you know, obviously this project is just, I love it. I think it's fantastic. And if you haven't listened to it yet, like I said, it's linked in the description. Definitely go check it out.
That was another thing, just to make one last note.
No, please
Me
do.
calling it also ISHA, RIP ISHA from the 978 was for people who haven't fully processed the name change. So when you search up ISHA from the 978, the project still comes out. It leads you to my new page. So people would never not be able to find me, especially because all my handles are ISHA from the 978, like on all like Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok. It'll still be easy to find me just because of the name of that album. So I love that I did that.
What have been some of like the highlights over the last year or two that you performing? I know you just recently performed at Beat the Odds, which seemed like a really great. I wasn't able to get out to that event, or you did perform there, no?
I did, yeah.
You did. And then obviously Grandmaster, the Chamber, you were part of that. I mean, I feel like you've seen you on so many bills over in lineups over the last year.
Right. I actually had a lot of shows this year.
You performed a lot. You were very much outside.
A lot of paid shows. Thank you guys so much for keeping me fed, by the way. Awesome. Honestly, the highlight for the past year has definitely been I've thrown 3 album release parties. Every album release party I've thrown, every event I've thrown this year has been the highlight, because it's shown me who really does care about me as an artist, as opposed to like just like, I don't know. I feel like when someone shows up for you, you know, physically, you know, pays a ticket to get in, or just sticks around for a whole event that you spent a lot of time, you know, organizing, it just shows me how much people really care. And so I've thrown like maybe 7 events this year. And obviously, you know, different people came to all of them. You know, whoever couldn't make it to the first one came to the second one. But honestly, every event I've thrown this year has been the highlight of my performance run, because especially my friends that would drive from Brockton and Boston, like I know you guys do not like coming to Lawrence, and a lot of y'all came through, showed me love, stood by me the entire night, you know, actually actively showed love. And for that, I will always be grateful. Even my album release party, which I threw, the recent one, which I threw on a Friday. And it was a really busy Friday at that, because there was a lot of events going on. But even the people that came when they could have been anywhere else, clubbing or whatever, it was just, you know, it keeps me like very motivated to know that like people do care. You know what I'm saying? People really do care about my artistry. They do care, especially with this name change. Like people do support me, and I don't know. Honestly, like I couldn't be more grateful. Definitely.
Well, I mean, like I said, I've just over getting to know you and just, you know, keeping up with everything you've been doing the last, you know, couple of years that I've known of you. It's just been so cool to see your evolution, your elevation, all of it. It's really special, and I think you are destined for superstardom. Not to like put that pressure on you necessarily.
There's no pressure. I put on myself.
There you go. Perfect. Awesome. I don't mind saying it then. No, but I genuinely mean it. I think that you have it. You have the whole package, and so I think it's just going to be a matter of time for you. And you know, I think people should be supporting you and taking you very seriously. So, and I appreciate you coming down here today and having a conversation with me, because this was a lot of fun. I should have had you earlier, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that we waited till now.
Yeah, I'm super glad, because then we would have to update. We would have to come again. Like, okay, I'm not.
You're not even ISHA from the 978 anymore, so now you're ISHA, which is really cool. So again, I appreciate you being here and taking the time out of your busy schedule, of course. My last question/segment of the show is we do the open response, and the open response we do what's called the dream song scenario. So you get a song, it's an ISHA song, and you can have any artists and producers on that song, dead or alive. You get one to two producers and up to 3 guest features who would be on ISHA's dream song scenario.
Definitely Nate Dogg. I really wish he was still here, because Nate Dogg is such a fucking genius. Loved him growing up, love him now.
We've never gotten Nate Dogg on the show before. No one's ever said Nate Dogg.
Oh, I think you meant you guys never had him here. I was like,
oh, of course. Oh, of course we never had Nate Dogg on the show. Duh. Yeah. Even if he was alive, he'd be like, "What the fuck?" I'm not
I
coming
bet
on that.
everyone says Drake. No, Nate Dogg for sure.
No, never. Well, no, I'm just saying never. But no, like no one's ever said Nate Dogg before. Like crazy.
Okay, yeah, no, I absolutely would love to do a song with Nate Dogg. 070 Shake, one of my biggest inspirations.
I can see that.
Yeah, she and Travis Scott definitely like inspired the fuck out of me and have been for the past 5 years. So,
Caev kind of had a little Travis on that song, huh?
And you and I too definitely was Travis coded for sure.
Yeah,
we had the Travis Scott template actually.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, cool. Shout out R3tro for having that. But yeah, if I were to do one song, it'd be with Nate Dogg, just Nate Dogg. But if we're talking 3 people, I don't know how Nate Dogg, Travis Scott, and 070 and ISHA would sound on a song, but that's definitely a dream collab. I definitely would love to work with 070 in the near future. I feel like it's going to happen. I feel like she's also Dominican, so I know it's going to happen. Producer-wise, I'm not really good at names, I'm going to be honest. Like, obviously Metro would go crazy. Like,
that would be kind of
especially
nuts.
Like with the lane I'm going at now, like more alternative hip hop route. I feel like Metro and I would go insane. But
fuck it, Metro.
Yeah,
I like it.
And then videographer Cole Bennett any day. I feel like he would be so good at like capturing my personality. Like I feel like he's amazing. I definitely see myself working with him very soon as well.
ISHA with the ad of the videographer. I like that. That was very good. Well, ISHA featuring Nate Dogg, 070 Shake, and Travis Scott, you said?
Yeah.
And produced by Metro Boomin with a music video done by Cole Bennett. I mean, I feel like it would be a classic number. We're going to manifest that here, right?
Oh
so
my
we're going to do it. ISHA, thank you so much for being here. This was an absolute pleasure. The last thing would be look into that left side camera, let people know where they can find you. Anyone else you want to shout out, now would be the time.
Awesome. Well, you can find me as ISHA from the 978 on all social media platforms. As far as music platforms, you can find me as capital ISHA exclamation point. Simple as that. Like I said, I do have a new album out. It's been out for a month and 4 days now. I do have a lot of new content coming soon. I just had to kind of like balance and figure a couple things out in my life. But honestly, shouting out is very hard because people complain about being left out. So I just want to shout out everybody that's in my life right now, everybody that I spend quality time with, that I have been spending quality time with, anybody that's helped me with my artistry, helped me with this album. Thank you so much. And shout out the haters too, because y'all gonna be watching this talking about, oh, she ain't even that cute. But I am. So yeah, shout out Turntables. And
thank you.
Yeah, I love you guys all.
Oh. Well, that was fantastic. And if you're a fan of ISHA and you're just being introduced to us for the first time, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram and TikTok. Hit up our website, turntableteachers.com, for all the latest. And then, of course, if you're an artist, podcaster, content creator of any kind, make sure to reach out to us at aoastudios.org to book your session or service today. Once again, ISHA, thanks so much for being here. It was an absolute honor, pleasure. And we will be rocking with you till the end. You have us in your corner, no question about that.
And after, because I live forever.
Yes, that too. You'll probably outlive me. But
we both live forever. We're both gonna live forever.
In this weird internet age, yeah, potentially we will live forever. Yeah. But until then, I'm Mike. That's ISHA with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.